Drop the weapon, drop the weapon.
Time out, time out. Before we continue, are you sure you have Sims in that thing?
Yeah, check this morning.
I don't know, man. You kind of have a history with this sort of thing. You sure?
100%.
All right.
Again? Do you know how many terminal training issues you've had this year?
8.
10. The f is wrong with you?
I thought it was a training rifle. You need to talk to your gear guy. He gave me a loaded gun.
So what's the solution?
Ooh, I got one. Big welcome back to my entire USO family. Wherever in the world you may be, it's your boy Blue here coming to you live once again from behind enemy lines. Big shout out to all my boys out there in the audience and that one girl who accidentally landed on this channel. I apologize, but if you stick around, you might learn a little something, even if it's what not to follow. Speaking of following, if you're enjoying the channel, liking those funny intros, go ahead, please help us out. Follow, like, subscribe, hit the notifications button. And if you got just enough time, drop down in the comments and let me know an area in your life where you failed miserably. All right, guys, so with that, we're going to jump into what we're here to talk about today. And that, if you haven't already figured it out, is the Unit Solutions Unit 4 training rifle. Now, training rifle meaning it's not a real rifle. It's not firing any live ammo or anything like that. It actually uses compressed air to fire either non-marking cartridges, which are very similar to airsoft, which a lot of you are familiar with. However, these are 8mm, slightly larger, and most scientists agree that's going to be one less than the 9mm. You also have the option of a paint marking cartridge, and these are very similar to paintball. However, again, 8mm, a little more accurate, slightly more painful, and gives you the capability of actually seeing when force on force engagement, actually seeing where your shots landed, which we found to be a huge training tool in showing people how their tactics work, fail, several different things you can learn there. All this stuff is housed in this magazine, and you can see the little T-pack sticking out here at the top. The magazine is equivalent to what pretty much a 30-round magazine would weigh. So weight is very similar. Recoil impulse is spot on as we've shot these side by side down range, and just a really amazing training tool. So before we get into the breakdown too much in depth about the weapon or non-weapon, we're going to go down range and do a few tests. There were a few questions we had before we purchased them, and again, we're not being paid by Unit Solutions. We bought these ourselves for the company, but we had a few questions about the product that we couldn't find answers to online. Now, a quick phone call, all credit to the staff over at Unit Solutions. Quick phone call answered all the concerns that we had, but a few things we'd like to demonstrate, and that's mainly like accuracy and just what can you expect from this training system. So with that, let's jump over to our sponsor for this episode. All right, and if you didn't see a sponsor, it means we don't have a new one. And let's move down range and get into the Unit Solutions training rifle. All right, guys, so the first thing we're going to test is the first thing we were curious about. What is the distance that this thing is actually accurate at? So we're starting out here at 25-yard line. Mostly these are considered good training tools for close quarters combat, things where you'd be engaging 25 yards and within, hopefully. But anyway, let's try it out, see how it goes. All the functions are just like your standard M4. And these actually have fun switches on them. So just make sure you don't make that mistake. All right, guys, we're out here at the 26.5 yard line. Probably wondering why. It's because we had to put our target so that we can show you the power of these 8mm marking and non-marking cartridges about 1.5 feet off of the firing line or target line. So we're going to start out with non-marking cartridges. I feel like this will give us a pretty good measure of the accuracy of this potential rifle. We got a slight breeze blowing from 6 to noon, so shouldn't be an issue. And we'll see at 25 yards how we group. All right, guys, let's move down range, check it out. All right, guys, as you can see, hit up high here in the left shoulder. And that just tells me the rifle's clearly not zeroed for myself. However, I'm assuming the other ones went over, which tells you at 25 yards, we haven't started to lose velocity on the round, so should be good to go. I was holding dead center, so we'll back off to about 10, put a few more rounds on target and see where we're striking at there. Here at the 10-yard line, we're gonna give it another 3 and just see where we're at. Just show you a little bit of the accuracy. All right, looks like we got at least a keyhole. So from 10 yards, you got about a MOA shot group, almost 2-in-1, a little bit of human error in there, of course. But anyway, as you can see at 10, I'm slightly off. So at 25, I would be way off. Just something to notate. And next time we're going back to 10, we're gonna change out the ammunition and fire a few of the marking cartridges just to show you that they fly just as true and to see if they're going to snap on this cardboard or if they're going to go straight through it. So we've got the marking cartridges now. These are the orange. They come in several different flavors. I know to do a little Kentucky windage just for time considerations. Film crews are expensive. Isn't that right, Nikki? All right. All right, looks like that did the trick. So just a little Kentucky windage, a little hold over here. These rifles get rented out a lot for close quarters combat classes, so they do get bumped around. People change the zero to the individual student. But now that we know where our aiming point is, you can see really getting good accuracy out of it, and not that much different from the marking cartridge from the non-marking. That's from 10 rounds, and you do see it did penetrate the cardboard. However, it did also simultaneously start to fracture that little 8mm marking cartridge. So if it was a lovely person over here, which we did shoot in the last episode that got a strike against the channel, so we're not gonna do that, but it would definitely mark them. Now, something to keep in mind that we noticed is with the marking cartridges, if you shoot bare skin, then it will break that skin, perhaps leave you a nice tattoo depending on the color you've chosen. So just make sure you wear garments covering all exposed skin whenever you're doing training with these rifles. And now we're gonna flip it over. They do come from the factory with a fun switch. So for many, this is their first opportunity. Although it's not center fired, belt fed, that still feels pretty fun to launch some downrange full auto. So you see you got a little bit of a spread, and we did get kind of what I was hoping for, one good impact where the splatter. So right here where the marking cartridge exploded gives you an idea of just how much paint is contained in that marking cartridge. Have no fear, it washes out of your camis, doesn't leave anything behind, unless in the training room, it'll leave a bunch of marks on the wall. I guess you could pressure wash that off if need be. Now that we know what that aiming adjustment will be, let's stretch it out to the 36 yard, which is where we normally zero our red dots at, and just see how good of a group we can hold from there. First of all, we're going to mark these off with a marker so we know our old rounds, and go down here and try it again. We're at 36 yards. All the previous holes have been marked. And now we're just gonna, using our Kentucky windage as the proper hold, we're gonna send down a few of the marking cartridges, followed by a few of the non-marking, just see if there's any notable difference from 36 yards. So just something to think about when you do force on force. Make sure you got the right marking rounds in there and not these non-markings. I saw another video where they were showing some of the damage that could occur from it. And I forgot the name of the gentleman, but they were actually denting vehicles. So if you're training around cars, remember marking, not non-marking. All right, guys, so that's about the distance that the rounds were dropping from 36 yards. So they were impacting the ground just in front of the target. So I believe, you know, maybe 25, 30 yards is going to be your bleeding edge on that. And from there, what we're going to do is jump back over to the table and do a full rundown of the Unit Solutions Unit 4 training rifle. So now let's do a quick rundown through this bad boy, just let you know a little bit about it, how we set ours up for training, which actually kind of carries over into how just to set up your basic rifle without any extra stuff on it that you really don't need. So these come from the factory without the optic or the flashlight or sling, so you only need to add those three things. They come with Magpul hardware. They come with really nice, I believe these are Midwest Industries handguards, M-LOK. And if I'm not incorrect, they are made by Lewis Machine and Tool Company, but I could be wrong on that at this time. Feel free to correct me down in the comments. Now, like we said, downrange, they do have a selector switch. It's ambidextrous now from the factory. The earlier ones were not. And it allows you to go from safe to semi to full automatic, and just at the flip of a switch. The muzzle end is capped off with a blue to notify everyone that it is a trainer, and it is the standard A2 birdcage. It's a 10.5-inch 8mm barrel, has the handguard. Everything else is your standard M4 Mark 18 build, and has an adjustable stock on the rear. Now, the internals are somewhat interesting. It is not swappable with standard M4 components. So everything internally has been slightly changed in dimension so that you can't swap it out and make it go full auto, as that would be a big no-no. But it does have a buffer tube with a spring, just like your buffer tube extension. There we go. On your M4, has your bolt carrier with your bolt inserted in there, and your charging handle, which we were thinking about putting in ambidextrous charging handles for lefties out there. However, these charging handles, just so you know ahead of time, are a little bit different configuration, so not quite what you're used to. Now, in addition to those components, you can remove the rest of the trigger, pistol grip, stock, whatever you need to do maintenance. However, I would think just field stripping, it's fine. We haven't had any issues with ours, and they've been fielded through several different classes. So what else did we add to ours, and what would be a good basic starting point if you're just beginning? So the first thing we added was the Dreamlike ProTac. I chose this one. It's very interesting because it'll run off of one CR123A or one AA battery, and you don't even have to change anything inside. So pretty much whatever you have in your range kit will probably run this flashlight. I thought it made it kind of a cool apocalypse option too. If you were not lucky enough to be able to choose what batteries you find, you have the options of one or two. It did come with a mount for M-LOK rails and a pressure switch up here with a constant on and off or temporary. And we just tied it down with a few zip ties. And these rifles, since we run so many courses, really do get beat up. This one's actually, I don't know if you can tell it from the camera, has been shot with multiple sim rounds, as you always hit what you're looking at, lesson number 1, and still stand up to any issues. Now, the rifle is topped off with a Sealy Optics T10. If you're a friend of the channel, you know Sealy's been really good to us in the past, and we'll drop down in the description the code. If you want to buy one of these, it's either 10 or 15% off by using the code. Just help our viewers out. And they are a really good beginning level optic if you're just starting out. Like I said, again, these get banged around a lot in the CQB classes, and we haven't had any issue with any of them. Now, whenever we get to talking about safety gear, I may touch back on this point, but just so we don't gloss over it, this is the highest riser that comes with the T10. When you're wearing protective equipment, when you're doing force on force, you're going to need an even higher riser. And we're discovering that as we had more and more folks complain about not being able to get a good cheek well. So we have risers ordered. We just got to get them in and mounted. And what we're thinking is that 1.93 height, kind of like you would use for NVGs or gas mask, is kind of what you're going to need to run on these, because you do have to wear some kind of protective equipment. Now, the final thing we added to it, which you need on every rifle, shotgun, whatever, long gun, is a good quality sling. Gracious enough to be friends with Tim from over at Hefty Arms, and we purchased these slings, but Tim was nice enough to give us a discount, and he was nice enough to give you one too, so we'll drop that code down in the description as well. I believe it's a 10 or 15% off of Hefty Arms slings. And again, we run these on our rental rifles, we run these on our trainers, and haven't had any issues. Really good to support local companies, especially when they cross support other companies in the 2A community. Now, before we jump off of the rifles, a lot of people always ask, what's the length? So extended, it's 33.5 inches. With the butt stock collapsed, it's 30. And with the magazine weighs, like we said earlier, equivalent to what an M4 magazine, M16 magazine would weigh if it was loaded with 30 rounds. And that rifle magazine combination comes in at 7.5 pounds, 7.5 pounds. So very, very similar to your standard Mark 18 if you're used to running with that. Also, I don't know if you noticed downrange, whenever you fire the Unit Solutions rifle, you do get a really nice recoil impulse, and it does make the sight jump. Very, very similar to when you are firing a 5.56 or a 300 blackout platform that's laid out the same way. So if you're considering purchasing these for training, we think it's a great idea. Now, your options for safety equipment is essentially the same as if you were running paintball or something like that. We have a bunch of these masks, and what we do is we actually have different colors just so it helps our team recognize. Blue is normally for your trainers who are moving around in the shoot house, helping critique the students as they go through. Red is not normally our Op4, and the black masks are normally for our students. Now, whenever we're shooting non-marking cartridges, we still require the use of at least some eyewear. And, you know, again, if you're friends of the channel, Gator's eyewear has been a huge friend of the channel since I think like day one. So we're always running our Gator's glasses at all times when running any of this hardware. That's a shot to the eye is one injury you wouldn't be able to walk away from. Now, with the protective mask, you also want to wear some type gloves. Again, you get hit where the person that's shooting at you is looking. So you're going to hit what you're looking at, and they're going to hit what they're looking at. And if you're holding a rifle, that's where their eyes are going to be. So we get tons of people shot in the hands, shot in the watches. We even had a cat come in a Rolex and took a round to it. Thankfully, for all my watch guys out there, his Submariner's just fine. Didn't even scratch the crystal. All right. Don't need crazy gloves, just the old school mechanics that everybody runs. Works fine. All we're trying to do is prevent breaking of the skin. And a lot of the shoot houses, it gets pretty nasty. So don't want to be running around with a bunch of cuts on your hand in there anyway. The Unit Solution sells two different options for refilling your magazine. So the first option is what they call a T-pack. These T-packs can be ordered with the marking cartridges or non-marking cartridges preloaded with a fresh 16-ounce CO2 cartridge in it. And those can simply be inserted into the magazine. This little floor plate of the magazine unlocked, and this little T-pack comes out. Now, word to the wise, if you're doing a lot of training, we carry a little rubber mallet in the back, and that helps us gently remove these T-packs because sometimes they get kind of stuck in there. Ever so gently though, because the feed lips on the tip top, especially if you're reusing them, this is where they're gonna fail if you're gonna have one fail. We've had a couple, but we use them a lot. Now, all you have to do is take your pre-assembled T-pack, insert it into the magazine, just kind of following the little cutout for the CO2 cartridge. And then you're just clamping the base plate on, just that simple. Now you're reloaded, ready to go. The other option is you can order your own reload kit, and it's just a little stand with all the accoutrement to help you reload your own T-pack. I'm not gonna go into it. It comes with instructions, so you just check those out. And I wasn't sure if last time the video got knocked down, was that because we were breaking down how to do all this too in detailed. So with all that, I think in closing, the best thing we could say is Unit Solutions offers you a training opportunity that is very hard to get anywhere else. It's a non-firearm, so it can be shipped to your door. There's no restrictions on it because it can't accept real firearm parts. So legal in all 50. Don't have to have a dedicated shoot house with these. A simple piece of plywood, as you can see, serves as a backstop, and you build your own Unit Solution bullet stops, and you can pretty much train everywhere. And the ability to reload your own, because that was for us always a big training issue with simunitions. We were not always able to readily available ammunition for the training. And this pretty much ships whenever you need it. You can order as much as you want, reload it as you go. And cost effective. The price of the CO2 cartridges and the marking and non-marking rounds are relatively inexpensive, especially when purchasing in bulk. They have a lot of good deals on the website for that. Now, if you've never taken any kind of training like that and you're close to the SoCal area, we'd love for you to jump into a class with us. We teach all over the place in SoCal. We have access to some very cool shoot houses where you can go in and do a little force on force. Very eye-opening to see how students react when the role players actually engage them and they have to make decisions on the fly. All that can be found at usoverwatch.com. Also, if you want to support the channel, the best way to do it, other than all the algorithm things that we have to do, is look at our website. We have lots of swag on there, just like this, and you too can be repping that US Overwatch brand. We'd love to see it out there. We've had pictures DM'd to us from several different continents now, and always honored and flattered to see our eagle all over the world. Now, if you want to follow us on the daily, because like I said, we did have some strikes against the channel, so make sure you don't lose contact with us should they nuke the whole thing. You can find us over on Instagram, same name, at US Overwatch. We'd love to see you over there. We post daily. With all that, we never leave without offering at least a little golden nugget of wisdom. And since we got Nicky here and he has tons of wisdom, we want to have him jump in and get on the other side of the camera. And what did you got?
All right. My golden nugget is preparation makes precision possible. So you got to keep training so when it comes down to it, you can actually know what to do.
Outstanding. And he just doesn't run the camera, he also runs his mouth. We're really proud of that. No, we have a really great time out here. We're very fortunate to have the crew that we have and to have all of y'all out there. So with that, this is Blue on behalf of the USO crew, and we are out.